Hello, everybody. We are back for the final day after show of the Cap Run. We have day after shows here today because we are recapping two shows this afternoon. We will be talking about Saturday and Sunday's shows. I've got three very special guests here with me today. Unfortunately, the other always almost there guys are all tied up this afternoon, but we've got Megan, Camito, and Nicole. Thank you all for being here. Very excited.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So before we dive in, of course, a brief word from our sponsor. Today's episode of Always Almost There is sponsored by Beekeepers Naturals. Powered by nature and obsessively tested, Beekeepers uses potent ingredients like propolis pollen and royal jelly and steers clear of added chemicals. In a day and age where we want to boost our immune systems as much as possible, Beekeepers Naturals has many products from lozenges to gut health supplements to support us and tap into the magic of nature. Personally, I don't leave home without one of their propolis throat sprays, and it's especially supportive the day after a 5-night run where you can tell my voice is a little bit shot. You can use code STORMSOUND at checkout for 20% off your order at beekeepersnaturals.com. Very exciting. So how's everyone feeling today? I know, Camito, you and I are the only ones that did all five and are recuperating, but how are you guys doing?
I feel great. I saved myself for Saturday because it was the day of the event that we put on. So I knew I would be pushing it otherwise. So, Saturday went big. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I went big on Sunday night and I'm paying for it terribly. I woke up early to teach third grade today. So it's been a rough day, but I'm really happy to be here. And I had an epic day yesterday. So it's just so special.
We're excited to hear about it. Camito, what about you? You never run out of energy anyway.
No, I don't. I spent the winter getting ready for a 5-night run. On Tuesday night, I hit a PR on the Peloton. I was like ready to go. So, my spiritual cup is full. I'm good. Good to go.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, we're going to talk about Saturday and Sunday. Before we dive into Saturday's show, obviously, Nicole, I really want to hear about the background of this amazing Fox G1 benefit. If people didn't have a chance to read in the Goose Times about it, but tell us about how this came about, background, and everything that happened.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. It's been about maybe more than a year in the making. It all started during the pandemic. I bought my son a guitar lesson with Rick on Lively. And so I guess, we were all pretty new to Goose then, because who wasn't, right? And gosh, had I seen them yet, Mark? I mean, was this pre or post South Farms? I'm not even sure in the timeline. It was pre. I haven't even seen them live, but just listened all the time and bought Tanner, my son, a guitar lesson. And it was the thick of the pandemic. And my son had this guitar lesson with Rick for an hour. I'm fangirl videoing it. Tanner's like, stop that. What's wrong with you? Why are you videoing my guitar lesson?
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And I will say, Rick was like, how old are you? You're 13. You know these scales. So I was like the proudest mama of what Rick was saying to Tanner, what he knew. And so after Rick and I just talked. I mean, we must have talked for 30 minutes. And I told him about Tanner. I told him about Tanner's sister, Josie, who, so Tanner is now, he's turning 16 on Sunday.
Wow.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, congrats.
He was 13 at the time. And so Josie is 11 now. So, that math is hard the Monday after, right? So I told him about Josie and how she was born with a very rare disease called Fox G1 syndrome. And he was just listening. We talked about other things. I used to be in the music business and we just had a great chat. So Josie was born with this very rare, severe neurological condition called Fox G1 syndrome. And she's 11. She can't talk or walk or sit up. She suffers from epilepsy, which really sucks. She can't take care of her basic needs. She has a G-tube for feeding. But she is the coolest girl in the whole world. She is pure joy. She's really magical. And I'm so blessed to be her mom. And in 2017, I co-founded the Fox G1 Research Foundation, and we just got started. We said, there's got to be a way, and we just started finding out all the scientists out there that were interested in Fox G1, telling them, hey, if we gave you money, what would you do? And built this team that, to fast forward now 5 years, we're working on a gene therapy that we're seeing incredible early data on, that we hope to be in clinical trials within the next 2 years to literally fix the gene.
That's amazing.
So,
that's incredible.
So, thank you. Yeah. So it's been quite a wild ride, but from that conversation with Rick during the pandemic, he said, hey, whatever we can do to help, let me know. And I was like, well, really? And he's like, yeah. I was like, well, maybe we'll do a show together. Maybe we could do a benefit. He's like, that would be great. And here's my email. Let's talk. And I was like, wow, what a nice guy. And so we kept in touch. He put me in touch with Ben, their manager, who's become like a family. Like, Ben is just, what I wrote in the Goose Times is, he's one of those guys that within the first few minutes of speaking to someone, you just feel like you've known them your whole life. And he said the same thing, like, yeah, let's try to make something happen. We would love to. And the article in the Times, I called The Power of Yes. Just people who say, like, yes, let's do something. How far that goes, it's Mark, what's the line? It sets off the dominoes that can improve lives. And so we, and then also enter Peter Shapiro, who is someone else who said yes to me along this journey. I've known Peter for a long time through our previous endeavor in the music business. My husband and I used to own a company called Quello Concerts.
Okay, yeah.
Did you know? We streamed live Fish on Quello. So it was like an early place where you can go to watch Fish, because we were on Apple TV and all the devices first. So I've known Peter for a while, and he, all along said, let's make something happen. Let's do a Fox G1 event. And he actually joined my business advisory board, which is pretty tremendous. And so fast forward to, I guess, a couple months ago, and Peter and Ben get in touch with me and say, we've got it. We're doing don't tell anyone, but we're doing a 5-night run at the Cap. I was
like, it's hard to hold.
I kept it tight. And so, and then we'll do this party before. And they said, how's this? So we'll do a party in Garcia's before, and the band will play a little private show for your team. You'll have 150 tickets to sell to your party, to the show that night. And the band will play just for your guests, which I call Team Josie, who are the people along the way who have just been the greatest supporters. Down here, bottom corner, one of Team Josie's super fans. And that's what happened. We had a private Goose show for Team Josie and had an amazing event in Garcia's, and then all got to dance together to the Saturday night show. And it was great.
That's an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing that, Nicole. And that's, really, again, a testament that we keep seeing, like, this band and the team behind the band, like, they're just amazing people.
They really, awesome. Really are. I mean, these guys are so busy, and like 5 nights in a row and playing extra, they just said yes, whatever we could do to help, and I met Ben in Mexico for Fish just recently. And I was like, I introduced myself. I'm like, I got to tell you, I'm the foundation. And he said the exact same thing, and I'm talking about Ben, the drummer.
Yes.
He goes, whatever we can do to help. And, they're really, I said in the article, they're just maybe equally as kind as they are talented. And we know how talented they are. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Nicole. Well, let's dive into these shows. We've got 2 shows to talk about here. I just did 4. 2 shows to talk about here. Very excited to dive into them. We also have an Array Below show that I'd like to discuss in the middle.
Yeah, me too.
But yes. So let's start with Saturday night. Camito, start us off. I mean, you got your spot because you were in for the benefit.
Yes.
But getting in on Saturday night, how are you feeling? Night 4.
God, just like charged, like with the my energy actually increased. As
The more you dance, the more energy you get.
No, but like it fills you with something sustaining and somewhat permanent as well. That and by the time we got to Saturday night, and like you called me in to talk about the vibe, right? So I'm going to talk about the vibe. By the time we got to Saturday night, the web of connection inside that room was so deep.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knew everybody, and the vibration was so high because of all that shared energy and connection. And I'm not just talking about from the hairs on my arms are raised as I say it. I'm not just talking about the relationships built over the years. Like, Nicole, who's my super great friend, like we met for the first time at South Farms in that pod, right?
In the pod.
And
let's do this.
and that's just one of many relationships. And we added handfuls and handfuls of relationships to that web this weekend. So by day 4, there was such a feeling of community that I think we were all so charged, and that manifested in a Saturday night that I know a lot of people will call the best night of the run. I'm not going to play that game. I'm just collecting them. I'm not ranking them. I'm just collecting them. But it was charged in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was immediate. I feel like the crowd energy really peaked Saturday night and last night. Like really just the place was just going nuts for every song. The band was feeding off of it too, like musically and just like with huge smiles on their faces. But yeah, like from the first note, like did this echo Hollywood Nights that they opened the show with on Saturday was just awesome. Like, first of all,
faster?
they packed.
Talk to us about that. Like a faster Echo of the Rose? Like,
well, that's what they've been
tempos?
playing it mostly since the end of 2021. But they packed a lot of improvisation into this first 10-minute echo, which was really cool. Like,
yeah.
And then, they're surprised, like Hollywood Nights again, like, which is, I love that this song is kind of in semi-regular rotation now. This is, I think, their third time playing it since it got busted out in November at Goose. And they teased it in Mexico in this old sea. So, but I love seeing it. Rick kills this song as he does, and the place goes nuts for it. It was great.
I saw that at Mohegan.
Like Nice and
so
White
fun.
Satin. It's just one of those big covers that everybody gets behind.
Yeah.
And loves.
Yeah, so good.
Agreed. And then, Bob Don with always good. Like grimy too. Like this song just keeps getting like thicker. And I really love the way that they brought the ending of Echo back around out of the end of Bob Don. Like it felt like a really, also again, energy wise, this felt like a really standout Bob Don with, like, and that outro.
It stands up notably with the one from Frederick. I remember as being really impactful.
Yeah.
Like the one in the rain with the arrow. Bob Don was just
that Bob Don I love because it's a lot faster than they play it now too, and it's more of like an arena rock than a kind of a different kind of rock vibe to it now. Just it's slower. They kind of take it differently, but yeah, that Frederick one is awesome.
I got called up to the rail for this Bob Don and like completely lost my marbles, headbanging, and
Yes.
Then when they brought the echo back at the end, it was just.
I don't remember when in the first set it was, but I said to you a couple of times, but I thought you were on the balcony on Saturday night too, and then I'm like dancing in the first set, and then obviously like I can see you doing your thing up at the front. There's nobody who raises his arms in quite the same way, and I was like, oh. Camito's on the rail tonight.
It's quite a crew.
Yeah. And then my first Seekers, which I was excited about, did my nice bathroom for part 1, Rage part 2, and then Mr. Action and SOS to close the set. But it was a great first set. I loved it.
Can we talk about Mr. Action a little bit?
Yes, let's talk about Mr. Action. I love this song.
It's one I've been waiting for. We talked about it the other day, actually. I don't think they went off script at all, but within the lines of the song, that was a really chugging.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I don't know who specifically. I think we kind of bantered this around a bit the other day. I don't know if it was written for coach or for the whole team or for who, but a real celebration of the people behind the scenes who make this Goose engine go. Right. There's so many of them. Peter shouted them all out yesterday, but it's a big team that makes this happen. And that song celebrates them all.
Yeah, I love that song, and SOS kills every time, always.
Dawn's the best thing ever.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. And then second set. This is a very, very dense second set. Like there was a lot going on here. Hunger Site opens, place goes nuts for it. Obviously that moment now, partially because of Trey and partially because it's an amazing musical moment. That first guitar solo when it hits in Hunger Site at every show now.
That is the lick of 2022.
Yeah.
Like that is the sound. When I think of 2022 musically, I'm going to think of that solo. Like
it made the Super Bowl.
Literally. Yeah. It made the Super Bowl.
That's their Super Bowl song.
Trey playing it at like Radio City. Like I burst into tears when that happened because it was just so emotional and amazing. I mean, that lick is just really, that to me like defines what Goose is right now. They're just so kind of like on the pulse of like what this scene is like. I don't know, the kind of inventiveness that's going on in the scene right now. They're
the scene is
right
becoming.
there. Yeah, exactly. It's like the future. And that song and Hunger Site, I saw this set list, I was going to the show on Sunday and I saw this set list the next morning and I was like, damn, there's just so many heavy hitters in this set. I mean, 5-song second set. It doesn't get better than that.
Every night was a 5-song second set. And
is that true?
Every night was also a 7-song first set with the exception of last night, which was 6.
Wow. Yeah, last night's first set was so good. I'm excited to talk about that.
Wow.
But yeah, Hunger Site, amazing.
That's look at you paying attention to the stats. Like I didn't even notice that. Wow.
If Ryan didn't notice it too, that's pretty
well, we could actually debate the first night because it started with Jam into
that's just how I noted it. But
it was right into Electric Avenue thing, which was technically a cover, but really wasn't.
I would count that as one song though.
Yeah, either way. Right.
I love that intro.
That's a 7, maybe 8, but really a 7-song set.
Right. But that's a cool thing to note. I mean, it definitely wasn't done on purpose because of, they pulled some audibles on the set list and, moved songs around. But
you want to do some more stats real quick?
Hit it.
64 songs total.
Okay, wait, actually, let's come back to the stats at the end.
All right, remind me.
Yes, I will. I love stats. Everyone knows this. But I want to talk about this Hunger Site jam because this was so good. There was like funky, like thick. People were drawing comparisons to Twist at times, which I didn't hear at the show. And going back to it, it's like it's a CCP almost, but it's not quite there. But this was a really great jam. They came out of the gate firing on all cylinders on this night. Kind of lighter on the improv on Friday night, so it was good to see like a couple of huge jams coming in this set. I thought this Hunger Site was excellent. The best one in a long time.
I'm trying to remember if it was Hunger Site or what in the second set that some of us in our group heard Disease and we just started singing it and it made sense. And other people said, I hear that, but it could have been something we created, but somewhere in that second set, if anybody else heard it. And if it was us singing it that you heard it, we're sorry. But yeah, I think with Hunger Site too, I guess from coming from an indie world at one point and just like at one point in my musical life, just went so deep into indie music. And there's so many times I want to say, I wonder if they were listening to this band. I wonder if they were listening to this band too. And Hunger Site to me is like really a little bit of that crossover where you're going to grab people, Drip Field 2, the whole album really. But for me, Hunger Site is that one tipping point. For that crossover.
Yeah, I agree. My friend who listens to like Sirius XM, there's like a channel that's been playing Hunger Site a lot.
Spectrum,
and she's always like, she's always screenshotting it for me. Yeah. And it's like, that song's on again. I'm like, yeah.
But I wonder if XMU is like XMU will play Dawn.
No, I listen to them all the time, but they play Born too.
No, I could see them playing Born.
Yeah,
I mean, those are XMU songs to me, right?
Totally. I agree. I mean, that's what I was thinking about that a lot. Like last night at the show, like what's so cool about Goose is that they have this like they have the traditional jam band influences like Fish and the Dead, but then, they're the age they are, right? So they've been listening to lots of indie music, which gives them that kind of like crossover appeal, I think, a little bit more, which is like why I started listening to them, because my family could not tolerate Fish over quarantine. They were like, no more Fish, like I can't do it. And so I started playing Goose, and they were like, okay, we can handle this.
So was joining HF Pod like now I have to listen to Fish in the house more?
Exactly.
There's nothing you can do about it.
It's my song.
Yeah. It was a really good workaround for me.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Very smart. Very smart.
Yeah.
So second set continues with Silver Rising and Feel It Now. I love Silver Rising in this placement, honestly. I just love the song Anywhere because it's an amazing song about a werewolf. We heard Rick talk about the process behind the songwriting in this one a little bit yesterday with the Osiris Arabelo event, which I believe there will be a recording of it released at some point, which we'll tell the story of that later. But this song's amazing. And the debut of Feel It Now that came after new Peter song. We haven't had a new Peter song in a little while, I don't think. So this was great to hear. I love the groove of this one. Definitely a lot of jam potential.
I think Feel It Now. Oh, Silver Rising's amazing. The harmonies that the band put together for that song are just
around.
Absolutely best in class, and we got to hear it acoustic during the podcast as well, which was really, really special. Feel It Now is kind of, I don't know, like Goose meets like Tears for Fears or something. There's like some kind of like 80s like synth vibe to it, and it that's an instant classic, I think, by way of Thatch, where we're just going to watch this song develop fast and really climb people's depth charts. That was a monster debut.
Agreed. Yeah, it was great. And then, getting a huge Arcadia right after, which like this might be the peak of the crowd energy on Saturday night during this Arcadia jam.
Do you not want to acknowledge this Arcadia the way I do? I mean, I think we could just we don't have to be divisive and talk about best or this or that, but can we not forever refer to this Arcadia as just the Cap Theater Arcadia?
I mean, yeah, they haven't played another Arcadia at the Cap, so
I mean, but it deserves a name.
It was really good.
Arcadia, this is the Cap Arcadia.
Yeah. 100%. I love this. I mean, this song is amazing. There's really also, the song and the jam aside, like the way they've been since last year, they've been doing the slow ending a lot, like, and the way that they'll come, like they'll peak the jam hugely, and then instead of going right into like the ending with like the huge screaming peak, they like slam down into the ending progression and then build it up again. Which, cool. Like I love the extended ending. And that was like, when they first did the slow ending at Legend Valley in 2021, I was like, like I want to hear this, but instead of ending slow, like, they do the slow ending and then build it back up to the real ending. And then I got it at my first show, which was really cool. But
that is cool.
This Arcadia was amazing. Like, yeah, again, place going nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really sad to miss this song. This is like the first Goose song that like really hooked me. Like when I heard this song, I was like, wow, like I just feel like the lyrics of this song, the imagery, like this song is just beautiful. It's an absolute masterpiece, I think. I was really sad to not see it. So I'm glad you did on Saturday night, all of you that were there.
You'll get your Arcadia.
I've heard it before.
Well, you saw it with Trey.
Yeah, I saw it with Trey.
I was Trey-cadia. I made t-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. No way.
We have shirts that say Trey-cadia.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'll send you a link.
I'm going to need a link for that.
Yeah. And then 726 set closer. I loved, Friday and Saturday night. Was it Friday and Saturday? No.
Thursday. You thinking of Your Ocean, maybe?
Yeah, it was Wednesday, actually. I'm slacking. Wednesday and Saturday, closing the second set with a ballad I actually really liked. 726 is just such an incredible song. Gives Trevor another spotlight, which he got also in Arcadia that we didn't talk about. Trevor Bass, MVP of the run. Can we agree on this?
God, he's so good.
But yeah, this set closer was amazing. Super emotional, like not a ton of chompers during this one, which was great. Always a worry when they play a slow song, but it killed.
Yeah, that's a tough one to catch. Just the second time I've seen that song, and
Wow.
the first one I think was back in Fred in 21, and I've been every time I got it, they don't play it a lot, and it was a special one to catch. I was really grateful for its placement there too. I agree with you. Ending the second set with the ballad, like I knew exactly what you were talking as soon as you started saying it. Both on Wednesday and Saturday had a perfect feel.
Awesome. Well,
should we talk about real quick what the set list was for our private party?
Yes, we didn't talk about that. Yes.
This is
tell us about how that was.
So when they opened the doors for my 150 guests to come in, we all walk into an empty captive. Ba-na-na-na, dun, dun,
Oh, nice.
It was so exciting.
That's awesome.
And I won't lie, I did maybe request it. But I mean, that song, when they play it, it is beyond. It is so fun. And my whole team, my whole crew, every friend just coming out dancing their asses off. And what time was it? 6:30? 5:30. And then so they played the Fifth of Beethoven, and then they did Slow Ready. In my note to them, I said, still my favorite. I mean, it's sexy.
It's sex, that song.
It's sex on stage. Yes. SOS. Sex on stage.
I thought I was going to get it last night so bad.
You almost did.
Well, and when I was talking to Coach before, he said that it was on the set list for last night. I don't know if he was messing with me, but
it was. It was on the set list
right?
for the encore, but they didn't play it.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I have it. I didn't even look.
And then Rick, they were deciding for the third song, and he says, we've got 7 minutes left. What? And Mark looks at me and goes, do you want This Old Sea? And I'm like, what's that do? I was
like, you want This Old Sea?
Yeah. I mean, yes. I'm always afraid to say it because it is slow, and we just.
Oh, I love that song.
Everyone was dancing, but it's not. It's certainly not too slow. I mean. No. It's not boring. It's incredible. And then he sang a beautiful, beautiful version of This Old Sea. And I think I'm still holding back tears.
Yeah.
That song is very, very meaningful, of course. And it was just the most perfect 3 songs.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You got like a little bit of everything. It sounds like you nailed it with that. I mean, that song is, to me, a song that sounds like it's always been written. Like it's such a classic song. I'm like, how does a young 30-year-old like write this song?
He also wrote this like a long time ago.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's a little bit what RJ was talking about on Sunday, but we can get into that.
Yeah. RJ, I've never said it publicly. RJ did yesterday. We talked about this the other day also. A good 15 top 5 Goose songs, but a definitive top 5 Goose song is definitely This Old Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And from its emotional weight to its jam potential.
Totally.
And we've seen that a number of times, right? The Bozeman Sea and the one down in Mexico. It's a special song, and it was just such an appropriate message, Nicole, for you and Josie, with its lyrics and message. I'll carry your burden to the bottom of this old sea. It was really impactful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the only Goose originals I haven't seen. 22 shows in, no Lead the Way, no This Old Sea, and 7 Drip Fields.
Well, now you got it.
What if I told you I've seen everything but Turkish Hills?
I'd believe you. That's everyone's white whale. That's Jeff's probably Jeff's most common not seen at this point. All right. Well, I mean, and speaking of Dripfield, that was the encore on Saturday night, which, it's Dripfield. It's never going to not be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's impossible. So let's talk about this, little Arabelo performance that 3 of us got to see yesterday, which was really cool. RJ and Tom Marshall did an interview with them, for anyone who doesn't know, at Garcia's yesterday in the afternoon. It was around an hour and a half long. This was Megan. This was your first Arabelo show.
Yeah, and I've been listening to a lot of Arabelo, so I was so excited, and to be that close and in such an intimate space was it was next level. I mean, we'll get into it, but hearing Jeff's bass in that room was, I thought the place was gonna like explode. It was so good.
It was,
and
it
just
was great.
Being that close to watching Rick play guitar that close is just, it's exciting.
Yeah, being like, less than 10 feet away from the stage, like,
Yeah.
how am I ever going to get that opportunity again? Probably not. Like it was really,
I don't know,
really
Ryan, you're pretty
special.
crafty. I feel like if anybody can do it, you can do it.
Ryan, I kind of thought the same thing as South Farms, but it keeps happening again.
Well, okay, but like you like being up on the rail. I don't like it's a lot being up at the rail for a show.
Yeah.
Not that I've ever done it, but like I'm kind of scared of it. But I like having a little bit of space and being able to breathe normally. And I figured like, okay, normally I would have been like, if it were Goose, I would have been further towards the back. But I wasn't worried about people like jumping on me during a Rainbow.
It's also daylight energy is different.
Yeah.
And we saw a Rainbow play in Fred. They played a daytime set at Fred Fest. And I've been to Garcia's hundreds of times, and I never noticed the giant skylight until yesterday, with the daylight going through. It was awesome.
That was so cool. I've never noticed that either because I don't think I've ever been in there during the day.
It was dark.
Yeah.
I said the same thing.
Disco ball, never the skylight.
Yeah.
Neil and I were talking about that as well. Yeah, they looked really cool. And then Megan and I spent, mostly Megan spent the first 10 minutes or so of the event trying to turn on the video camera, which was a lot of fun.
I was so stressed. I was like, I'm going to lose this moment. Like, this is going to be lost to history because I can't figure out how to turn on this video camera. And it wasn't like a task. I just want to be clear that I was assigned to ahead of time. I was assigned at like 2 minutes before they went on.
Yeah.
And I'm not a tech person. Ryan, you're younger than me. You should know how to operate tech better than me.
I wanted to get in there. You jumped up on the chair and you were trying to figure it out, but it was,
I know.
And
then you
really
said
funny.
that when I jumped up, like the bartender came over, like, what are you doing? You're climbing on the bar. And you were like, it's okay. She works for the podcasting company. And I was like, okay.
Am I missing something? Don't you just hit record?
It's really complicated. If it's not, you had to turn it on in this weird way. And then it was paused. And then the button to record was like, I don't know. I haven't used a video camera in
we're podcasters.
25, 30 years. I don't know. I just pressed
computer
stream, go live. I don't know.
Luckily
we needed you, Mark, clearly.
Yeah. Clearly, but yeah, it was funny. Like a couple of people came over and were like, "Why is she climbing on the bar here?" And I was like, "No, like there's a video camera for the event that's happening." Like,
I figured it out though. I just had an aha moment when, like you're saying, Mark, I realized like the button that I thought was the record button or the power button was actually the record button, and I got it working during Silver Rising.
So it was great. And I mean, the songs we got to see were amazing. The conversation was amazing. As I said, it'll be. I believe it'll be released soon. We know there is video. We know that does exist. But we saw Silver Rising, Honeybee, Dripfield, Thatch meet with Tom Marshall, the Fish song, and This Old Sea, which this is my first acoustic Thatch. Very excited about that.
Oh my God, that was so good.
I had seen a number of these other songs with Array Below in December in Boulder, which was a really amazing show. But I think this was my first This Old Sea by any configuration of the band. So I haven't seen it with Goose, but I've seen it with Array Below.
Right.
So. But it was great.
Have they played that acoustic before?
I believe so. Let me consult the .net. No, that was the first time played with Array Below. Wow, thank you for.
That's amazing. That was so beautiful. That was emotional for sure.
The first Thatch too.
No, they played Thatch in Steamboat in December, acoustic. That was the same show where they also did, what was it? Fish in the Sea acoustic. But also, another amazing thing that happened yesterday, shout out to friend of the pod, Garrett Dorfman, who got a copy of the Thatch lyrics.
Oh, that's super cool.
And we now know what the first line is, which is Milo Believe, which sleuths figured out Milo Thatch from a Disney show.
Oh,
that's the Milo.
Oh, Milo. Okay, got it. Huh.
So that first line of Thatch is Milo Believe.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Not to be confused with Under That Sea.
Well, that's the second line.
It's not the mermaid.
Yeah.
Different Disney.
Yes, exactly. But it's great to now know what they're singing. it was also like I'm really looking forward to people being able to watch this event because it was really special.
There's such incredible banter.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm dying to talk about the butter rum, but like my favorite moment from the Arabelo show was Jeff talking about, all the great guitarists in the world.
Oh yeah.
Die, to play on stage
with Trey and Father John Misty. Yeah.
Trey Anastasio. He's like, turns out Father John Misty is on my drum kit, so I get a guitar and I'm just ripping like C.
That was hilarious. Yeah. I felt like Tom and RJ did such a good job asking questions that kind of get to the heart of like what you want to hear musicians talk about, even stuff that like maybe is a little challenging for them to talk about. Like I feel
they
like
came off as fans and asked the things that I would have wanted to ask, which I appreciate.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And like I think hearing Rick talk really like genuinely and openly about songwriting and what some of these songs mean to him, like that was really, really special. And then getting to have Jeff like lighten up the mood and Peter being like adorable as ever. Although I will say Honeybee is slightly ruined for me now that I know it's about his mom, because I always love that song, which is so sweet that it's about his mom, but I just thought it was more of like a romantic love song.
Yeah, I thought so too.
This is news to me. I missed that. So
yeah, it's about his mom.
Sorry to ruin it for anyone else.
Well, that's cute.
Sorry, everybody.
I mean, if
it's any consolation,
Honeybee for me. I mean,
how lovely is that? Yeah.
And she was any there, consolation, it was so sweet. Yeah, if it's any consolation, Peter's mom Rita is the best, and she's awesome. So.
I mean, parenting at its finest. Not only is her son an incredible musician and Goose, Honeybee's about her. Wow.
Yeah. And really so is Redbird.
We could also piggyback Rick's point that every song really has multiple layers of meaning and, leaves the interpreter with a certain intended level of confusion. So it means whatever you want it to mean.
Yeah, which, totally. Watching Rick kind of talk about the Dripfield lyrics and be like, sometimes I'm like writing and I like, I don't know what's going on. And I like that. And Tom was like, yeah, like I've done that.
And that's so fish too, right? And it's so funny that Rick was saying that because like my dad, when he was up with me for Christmas, he's really gotten into Goose and he brought out the Dripfield lyrics and was like, I don't understand what this is about. And I'm like, Dad, you don't have to. Like, come on. Yeah.
Should have been like, Dad, never try to understand Fish lyrics either. Never read them.
He wouldn't even bother with that.
Let's talk about last night's show. The grand finale. Megan, you had quite the experience last night.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened. I don't know how it happened. RJ, said when he told me that this Arabelo event was happening, I wasn't sure which night of the CAP I was going to be able to do because I could only do one. It's parent-teacher conferences these 2 weeks. As a teacher, I'm super busy. I was like, I have to do one though. The CAP is one of my favorite venues, and I'm a newer Goose fan. This was going to be my 4th Goose show, but I've been listening to them for a few years, but just started seeing them and I'm super into them. So I knew I wanted to see them. And RJ said he had, he's like, all right, we'll come on Sunday because we have the event. I'm like, great. And helped me get a ticket. And that ticket turned out to be pretty magical. And we were backstage and in Peter Shapiro's box. And apparently dancing, which you're not really supposed to, but we were up on the curtain, so everybody was
were you the one raging in the back of Peter's box?
Yeah,
I was.
I love that, dude. I was like, night 5, somebody's finally dancing in there.
That's a big no-no.
I know. Well, apparently Peter wasn't there, so like apparently it was okay. And the security people were super cool. They're like, you just can't dance when you're in the seats, but if you're up against the curtain. And RJ and I were like, awesome, because like RJ and I, when we dance together, we go hard, and so I always go hard, and so does RJ. So, and we were just up there the whole time, and it was so fun because all my friends were like sending me pictures of us up there and like videos. Like the amount of like grainy footage like of me dancing up there is just, it's been hilarious and so fun to see. It was a really special night. We got to do the power up with the band too, which was like crazy. So it was a great night, really magical. I'll never forget it. Yeah, once in a lifetime for sure.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Thanks, RJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive into the show here. The music. So first set kicks off Flea, Indian River, and our second Honeybee of the day. I mean, this Flea was like, it got right down to business.
Wild.
I didn't even check today how long it was.
I did.
17
minutes, and they were flying by the 6.5 minute mark.
Oh yeah,
totally.
Immediately like
I just put in my notes, like they're finding off script peaks so fast. Like they were just locked in. Like they just changed direction and wrote a new song in the middle of that other song they were playing so many times.
Yeah.
And then would change direction in the middle of, that new song and write another new song. and I think that happened, like 2 or 3 times just in the 10-minute jam during Flea. And the lights just absolutely wild.
Oh my God. That song was amazing. It's funny. That song reminds me of, not musically at all, so don't worry about that when I say this. It's going to sound weird, but like simple, because it's like one of these songs that has like kind of simple, silly lyrics, but then it's this monster jam vehicle that just like launches. Same with like Earthling or Alien, right? Like that turns into this just sick jam. And I thought that was just a total like baller way to start the show. It was just like, boom, like we're here. It's the last night. We're going to burn this place down. I thought it was awesome.
Hell yeah. Also interesting to note that Honeybee was played off of a 25-show gap, which is its longest since its debut.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting. Honeybee probably adds to the list of songs this weekend that, like, I won't characterize as my favorite, but really impressed me in their spot, even if it's the first time I ever took a pee break during a show.
Wow.
Ever?
Did not expect to hear that from you. And
Ever.
Sorry, I just completely skipped over the Indian River, which, I think this is in the upper echelon of Welcome to Delta jams.
Yeah, but it didn't. I don't know that it necessarily did anything different. It hit really hard, though.
Yeah, such a good groove.
Really hard. Like an Indian River without the Delta is incomplete.
I'm still not sold on the 80s synth version with the Delta. Like, I feel like it's a little bit of a, they're very different vibes. Like last year when they were playing the original, like the more reggae-ish, I guess, version of the song, I felt like that one fit better with the Delta. But I mean, I'm not complaining. This was hot. It was hot. And then Jeff Engborg.
I saw so about
Jeff. Oh my God.
Big clav energy.
Song about Jeff. Yeah, Jeff's like, this song about me. Before they played it. This was so good. This song is just, it's Great Blue, right? That's Peter's other group wrote this song.
Yes.
Yeah, it just has these like
Jeff Engborg.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It's a title, right? Mm-hmm. But like this pockets of like, there's different sections of this song and it's so good. I feel like this song just like really, I thought it was a highlight from last night. It really just threw down.
Clav energy.
Yeah, I could not stop dancing. So great.
Dirty funk, and probably the singular song that I wasn't expecting to hear this weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I was hoping.
Yeah, I didn't expect it though. I expected everything. I didn't expect that.
Right.
Wow, it was so awesome, so funky. Exactly what I like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and yeah, it raged, and then It Burns Within. Great bust out. 75 shows. Not played since last year in Nashville. So, it's my first It Burns Within as well. Very excited to hear it.
Every It Burns Within is special.
Yes, it's a very special song. It's one of the oldest Goose songs. Dates back to 2014 and I'm sure before. But very rarely played. They've only played it 7 times ever.
Wow.
My first experience was during the Rick, Peter, and Jeff before they called themselves Array Below acoustic streams.
Oh wow.
Yeah, in April 2020. It is actually, it's been played the same number of times by Array Below and Goose.
Wow. This song, the lyrics of this song are incredible. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And then
I had a moment with my wife.
Oh.
It was nice.
Of course.
That's awesome.
Love it. And then this rum. My God. Like, I mean,
it's a journey.
I think sitting on it the next day, I think this is the new GOAT. I listened to the Aspen version on the flight home today. I think last night definitely better. Like, I mean, I need some more listens on it, but I'm pretty sure this is our new GOAT rum, and it was incredible.
The spectacle that happened as the band was churning through, you talked about Trevor being the MVP.
Mhm.
I thought Trevor really charged into that, dark space, and Rick followed him. And what was happening on stage with the liquid light production, behind the band, it was a darker hue. It was a very hard charging energy,
Mhm.
but not so dark and spacey as to lose anybody. It was like chugging and energetic, and there was a constant dynamic pound from the drummers.
Mhm.
That
And
was
Peter's synth,
yeah. I
that
mean,
Prophet.
that's as good as live music gets. Just period.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Totally
Yeah.
agree. I remember like RJ and I kept looking at each other like, is this really happening? Like, it's like, it was so good. It was just really, really incredible. Yeah, some of the best live music I've heard all year, for sure. Amazing.
Ryan, you mentioned the
Absolutely.
Prophet. How do you distinguish that sound?
Well, so it's the synthesizer on top of the clav
Yeah,
is a Prophet. That's what it's called.
got it.
And then the one on top of the Vintage Vibe is the Nord lead. So yeah, those are his two synths. And then the Nord stage also has a synth sound that he uses sometimes. But when you're a nerd like me, you can tell the difference.
That's awesome. The way they segued back into it too was just super, super satisfying. Just like effortless. Amazing.
Yeah. And then, final set of the run, Peter noted that as they came back on, and then tore into Arrow. I think we all kind of, we felt this was coming. It was night 5. They hadn't played Arrow since November, which is, pretty long gap for the song.
That's remarkable. I didn't realize it didn't happen at all through the Colorado New Year's run.
Yeah, had last played in Fairfax.
Wow.
Not the longest gap in its history, but close. But yeah, it was a hot Arrow, and they left it unfinished, which doesn't happen very often. They usually find a way to bring it back around, but they ended it in an atypical fashion.
Atypical maybe, but a typically savage.
Yes.
Arrow. Awesome jam.
It might be what we were talking about today in terms of, really finding that magic, if not for the butter rum. Like the Arrow is pretty special as well. I mean, the flea, the rum, the Arrow, they all measure up. And the Arrow might get lost in that shuffle, but it shouldn't. It was a really remarkable, again, 2-guitar Goose when Peter's, the way they work together, I feel like Peter's got like I'm gonna say this wrong and you're gonna jump on me or something, but Peter's got like a Corey Wong funk thing.
Oh no, that's absolutely accurate.
Okay, cool. And I thought that drove that whole jam to a really, really awesome, dancey, energetic space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did what Arrow does best. And then, nice breather with a Western Sun. Always excited to hear this song. I love it.
I love this song. It's like these lyrics are like Dylan-esque, like great imagery, just stunning, epic story. I love it.
Yeah. And then Into the Mist, picking the energy right back up. I was very surprised by the segue into White Lights here, leaving Mist on its own, but we got like the, instead of the slow jam, we got the, more dance jam version of Mist, which was cool. I think it's been since early last summer since they did that. I could be wrong, but it was cool to get that again. And this White Lights just like, blew the roof off again. Like
slapped.
It was unbelievable. Didn't really go outside the box, but it was unbelievable. The energy, Rick just, like it's like a flamethrower.
So there's so many different feels to their jams. They can churn through that dark space, like they did during Butter Rum. And then they could do what they did during White Lights, which it was just so bright and vibrant. I really thought like Peter led, on the keys. That's just it's a sound that really involves everybody, and very celebratory White Lights.
Yeah, Dancy Peaks. I think I texted Ryan and our friend Brian Brinkman after. I was just like, good Lord. I mean, that was just like driving dancy peaks. Like, that's what I love about Goose. Like, they have this like hypnotic groove, this danceability that's just so it's just undeniable. And they really nailed it with this. And I also really loved this version of Into the Mist. I mean, it sounds a little like The Police almost. Like it's like got this like funky kind of like, I don't know. It's great. I loved both of those. And what's this rumor about this No Man's Tease? Is that true in White Lights, Brian?
I didn't hear
Ryan?
anything about this.
People have been
Where-
texting me about it. I haven't
Yeah.
listened back. I've gotten a few texts about that, Megan.
Yeah, I haven't listened
when you
back
hear
either,
of a
but-
timestamp, let me
Okay.
know. I'm curious to hear what people are hearing. I'm gonna guess I'm gonna go ahead and preemptively nip it in the bud, having heard it, that it's probably a CCP kind of vampy thing. But I'll listen. See if
Yeah,
it's there.
I mean, I haven't listened back, so we'll see. I didn't know if you had it on a good authority yet, Ryan. So we'll wait till you hear it.
We'll find out. The lgoose
Yeah.
the lgoose.net team will be hard at work verifying
Exactly.
chat. And just for the record, people assume that when I say that, I'm just talking about myself. There are other people involved. I promise. And then we get Elmeg to close the set. They audibled that on the set list. They were supposed to play the Labyrinth, which, at the risk of, my prior track record with talking about songs they skip on set lists. But I thought it was a great move to audible Elmeg instead of Labyrinth here. I felt like that where the direction of the set was going, I don't think Labyrinth really would have fit, with the energy and the flow of the set. But, Elmeg is Elmeg. It's like, it's special, even though it's not a huge bust out anymore. Like, it's my second Elmeg. I'm very happy to see it again.
Does it always have to be like, so
It doesn't.
It's the right, like, it's the most special song in their catalog.
Mhm.
And I hope that they continue to mark their most special occasions by playing it. It honestly, it would have been almost a travesty if they didn't, just because this week was so special. And we know that song is so special and reserved for those occasions. So like, I'm okay that they played it twice already this year. And like, every time that they played it was perfectly appropriate, and the next time will be too. It's not any less special just because they have more special occasions to celebrate.
It's true.
I like that.
It was a good way to close the whole run.
Totally.
It was emotionally heavy. It was poignant. And then, they did what they do best with it, which is they took it deep again, like,
Yeah.
out there, man.
They really good
out there, and they swung and they connected. It was the most perfect ending, teeing us up for, the only encore that could have been coming after it.
Yeah. I know it said Slow Ready on the set list, Megan, and I'm sorry you didn't get it, but Empress was the only choice.
It was the right move. I 100% agree with that. I mean, listen, Slow Ready is like, the best, but I agree that this was the right move, this encore. It was so, so great. Just absolutely. That's the way you have to end a 5-night run.
And that made it a totally no repeat week, because we must include the full band. Goose was on stage for the benefit, even though it wasn't a public audience.
Oh, that's true.
The full band was on stage. Those 3 songs they played were 3 additional songs to that. We can do the stats now, to the 64 songs that they played over the run. Add those 3 in the benefit to make 67.
Wow.
3 of those were debuts, and only 4 of them were covers.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
3
So
original
all the
Goose.
haters out there who were asking me for like weeks leading up to the run and like until Saturday,
You got that
like,
too.
do they have
really?
a big enough catalog for this? Like, and I'd be like, yeah. And they're like, oh, but they'll play a lot of covers. Like, no.
4 covers. Wow.
4 covers the whole
that's
run.
not a lot.
4 covers.
And one of them was Electric Avenue.
Right. One of them was 3 bars of
was
Electric.
very, very short. Yeah. And also, I also don't feel like you need to put a band down for playing covers, because as we know,
not at all.
the best bands in the world play covers. I mean, the Grateful Dead, Fish, come on. Like, it's ridiculous. It's nonsense. But yeah, that's still an incredible accomplishment. Like Goose, like amazing. It's amazing.
I do want to mention this. I was at least feeling, so we have a question for the pod. Surprise, no Factory Fiction the whole run. I was expecting last night that we were going to get Elmeg or Factory Fiction. I figured it was going to be one of the two.
One of them.
Those are both the, the special occasion tunes. But what were you guys thinking about this?
I would have taken it. It's another one that I went a couple of years ago. I interviewed Coach, and this was before it was before they busted it out at Westville, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, like, are we ever going to hear Factory Fiction again? And he's like, it's 10,000 to 1 against. As a matter of fact, just go put your money elsewhere. And they played it like they played it 2 weeks later, right?
That's amazing.
But they've played it a number of times since then. And I
Mhm.
think just because so many of us have a connection, to like the Grateful Dead, where songs like Steven were shelved forever and like became rare or never played, or to Fish and, the Destiny Unbound bust out, or like, all these things that they it's more special if you put it away for longer. I say to hell with that, man. Play your best stuff whenever the hell you want.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Hell
I
yeah.
agree.
Whatever. If a song falls to the wayside for a little while organically, but to purposely shelve one of your best songs. So like I was expecting it. I didn't think it had to be an either or. We didn't get it. That's cool. There was no way they were going to get to everything. So a couple things
Right.
had to be left out.
Yeah.
Slow Ready didn't get played. Ryan Molnar in the chat also mentioned they didn't close the jive loop. We didn't get a Lee at any point. No Lead the Way. I'm looking at,
Lead the Way.
I have some notable song gaps here in my fantasy Goose spreadsheet.
I'm sure some of the serious collectors would have liked the Lily's Tiger.
I would have very much enjoyed a Lily's Tiger. Dragonflies at 54 show gap right now. Labyrinth's at 41. Doc Brown hasn't been played in 32 shows. Travelers at 27. Honeybee was a 22 show gap, or I said 25 earlier. My personal spreadsheet, it's possible that it's wrong. Lead the Way over 20 shows. Life on the Shelf over 20 shows. Jively is 12. Like there are some interesting gaps if you look at here. Lily's Tiger hasn't been played since 2021 at Fred. So we can dream of that one coming back.
How many times has that been played?
Twice. South Farms and Fred. Yeah.
Wow.
Free Doc Brown. Well, Dark Horse was just played in Boulder, so not a super long gap on that one. But that brings us to the end of our cap run. Thank you, Nicole, Megan, and Camito for being on today. Really appreciate all of you guys sharing your experiences at the shows, and Nicole, the Fox G1, everything.
Can I say one thing before we jump? Just because
Yes.
There's still time to bid for the signed guitar, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Wow.
It's been donated. So if you go to Fox G1 Instagram at Fox G1 Research, and in the bio, you could find the link to bids. You donate to get raffle tickets for this guitar. It's going to be up for a few more days, and it's
Awesome.
going to be signed by the band.
If you walked by merch,
Wow.
it was on display a couple of the nights.
Mhm.
At
That's
Fox
amazing.
G1 Research Instagram, get your tickets.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
I wanted to also thank all of you because I'm a Goose newbie, and I just really appreciate everybody like allowing me to be part of this conversation with all of you who know so much about the band. So thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, the family expanded big time this week. Like a couple people have said, like, "Oh, I love your band." I'm like, "Dude, our band, right?
That's
You're
awesome.
here
now, like,
Yeah.
It begins.
Yeah. It was really fun to see all of that happening and like seeing so much crossover from like my Fish universe, and it's great. It's awesome.
And guess what? We're a week and a half away from spring tour. The
Yeah, I
tour
was gonna
itself,
say,
they all have a little bit of time
Wow.
off except for Rick, who's playing with Phil in 2 days. Back at the Cap. But we start in Boston on Thursday the 23rd. Very exciting. Obviously, we are going to be here recapping every show the day after. If you are listening to this or watching this, we are still looking for guests for the second night of Bozeman, the Boise show, the Eugene show, the second night of San Francisco, and both nights of Days Between in New Orleans. If you are going to those shows and you would like to come on Always Almost There to help us recap the day after, send us a message on social media at AAT Goosepod. We would love to have you. So thank you guys again. It's been a hell of a week. I'm going to go shower and sleep, I think. But we'll talk soon. And thank you, everybody.